Let me begin with a truth that cuts through every layer of doubt. Fear and procrastination, excuses do not build empires, results do. Excuses will keep you comfortable, but they will never keep you free. Excuses feel good in the moment, but they rob you of the future you were designed to create. Excuses block success because they create a false sense of security. When you justify your lack of progress with reasons that sound valid, you trick your mind into believing you are still moving forward, when in reality you are standing still. Every excuse is like a wall you build with your own hands, brick by brick, until you find yourself trapped inside a prison of your own making. The more you explain why you cannot, the deeper you settle into the belief that you will not. Excuses rob you of the energy needed to actually create change. They consume your mental focus and drain your drive. Instead of directing your thoughts toward finding solutions, you waste your creativity defending the reasons why you are not taking action. The mind that is capable of building businesses, transforming lives, and achieving greatness gets occupied with protecting limitations rather than expanding possibilities. Excuses also destroy momentum. Success is built on movement, on taking consistent steps forward regardless of how small they may be. Every time you pause to justify an action, you break the flow that could have carried you into your next breakthrough. What could have been progress turns into delay, and delay grows into stagnation. Before long, the habit of pausing becomes stronger than the habit of pushing. Excuses block success because they are contagious. Once you give yourself permission to excuse one area of life, it bleeds into every other area. You excuse your health, you excuse your finances, you excuse your relationships, you excuse your dreams. Suddenly, mediocrity no longer feels uncomfortable because you've trained yourself to explain it away. The more excuses you make, the easier it becomes to lower your standards. Excuses keep you blind to opportunities. When your eyes are fixed on what's wrong, you cannot see what's right in front of you. You miss the doors that open because you are too busy staring at the walls you claim are holding you back. Excuses make you focus on the problem rather than the possibility, and the more you magnify the problem, the smaller the possibility looks. Excuses silence accountability. Instead of admitting where you fell short, you shield yourself behind reasons. Responsibility is the birthplace of growth, but excuses kill responsibility before it can even take root. If you never accept that you are the one who must change, then change will always seem impossible. The one who blames circumstances, people, or lack of resources forfeits the power to transform their own life. Excuses block success by breeding fear. The more you rationalize why you cannot do something, the more intimidating it becomes in your imagination. You feed your doubts until they grow larger than your dreams. What started as a simple reason soon becomes a permanent belief that you are incapable. Excuses transform challenges into giants that you never attempt to face, because in your mind, they already defeated you before the battle even began. Excuses also rob time. Every day spent justifying an action is a day lost that could have been invested in building your future. Time is the one resource you can never get back, and excuses burn it away without mercy. Hours turn into days, days into months, and months into years, all sacrificed on the altar of comfort and avoidance. Excuses give you temporary relief, but permanent regret. They allow you to feel at ease in the present moment, but that ease comes at the cost of your future. When you look back, it will not be the obstacles that hurt the most, but the realization that you let excuses convince you to stop climbing. Regret always weighs more heavily than discipline, and excuses guarantee regret. Excuses block success because they make failure comfortable. Instead of pushing through resistance and demanding results, you accept less than you are capable of and disguise it as reality. This comfort numbs you, but it also keeps you ordinary. And as long as excuses are alive in your life, extraordinary will always remain out of reach. Greatness demands responsibility because the higher you rise, the more weight you must be willing to carry. Every level of success comes with a greater level of accountability, not just for your actions, but for the influence you hold over others. People who achieve greatness are not free from responsibility. They are entrusted with it. To whom much is given, much is required, and true greatness cannot exist without the willingness to accept that requirement. Responsibility is the price of leadership. Those who desire to lead cannot simply chase the rewards of recognition and power while avoiding the burden of accountability. A leader is measured not by how loudly they speak, but by how faithfully they answer for the decisions they make. Greatness demands that when others are afraid to step up, you step forward and say, I will take ownership. I will be responsible. That mindset separates the average from the extraordinary. Greatness demands responsibility because talent alone is not enough. Many people are gifted, but few are disciplined enough to carry their gifts with maturity. Raw ability without responsibility creates destruction instead of transformation. True greatness requires managing your skills, your time, and your opportunities with intention. It demands that you not squander what you have been given, but that you multiply it for the benefit of others as well as yourself. Responsibility also means taking ownership of failures, not just victories. Greatness does not hide from mistakes or pass blame onto others. It acknowledges when things go wrong and uses those moments as lessons to grow stronger. People who avoid responsibility will always remain small because they refuse to confront the truth about themselves. Those who embrace responsibility, even when it is uncomfortable, position themselves to rise above their past and achieve something greater. Greatness demands responsibility in how you use your influence. Every action, every word, and every decision impacts more people than you realize. When you walk in greatness, your life becomes an example, whether you want it to or not. You cannot afford to be careless with your choices because others will follow where you lead. Responsibility means understanding that your influence can either lift people higher or pull them lower, and greatness chooses the path that elevates. Responsibility also requires stewardship. What you have, whether it is money, time, or resources, is not just for you. Greatness demands that you manage it wisely, that you invest it instead of wasting it, that you see yourself not as an owner, but as a steward. Those who handle small responsibilities with excellence are entrusted with greater ones. Greatness does not come from chasing more. It comes from proving faithful with what is already in your hands. Greatness demands responsibility in relationships. It is not enough to succeed while neglecting the people who depend on you. Responsibility means being present for your family, honoring commitments, and keeping your word even when it costs you. Those who pursue greatness at the expense of responsibility often find themselves alone because true success cannot be sustained without loyalty, integrity, and accountability to those around you. Responsibility shapes character. It forces you to grow, to rise above selfishness, and to think beyond the present moment. Greatness is not built overnight. It is the result of consistent choices made with responsibility at the center. Every time you choose to take responsibility instead of shifting blame, you strengthen your character. And character is the foundation that greatness rests upon. Without responsibility, greatness will collapse under the weight of its own success. Greatness demands responsibility because challenges are inevitable. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. Responsibility means refusing to be a victim of circumstances and instead choosing to be a creator of solutions. The greatest individuals are not those who had the easiest path, but those who refused to allow excuses, setbacks, and opposition to define their outcome. Responsibility empowers you to take control of your destiny. Greatness is not a gift. It is a calling that demands responsibility every step of the way. The higher the vision, the greater the weight of accountability that comes with it. To live for greatness is to embrace responsibility, not as a burden, but as the very thing that qualifies you to rise. Results prove everything because they cannot be argued with. Words can be twisted, promises can be broken, and intentions can be hidden, but results stand as undeniable evidence of what has been done. No one can debate a finished product, a transformed life, or a visible outcome. Results silence excuses and strip away the need for endless explanations. They are the final proof that effort was applied, discipline was exercised, and persistence was maintained until something tangible was created. When results show up, they validate sacrifice. Long nights, early mornings, and seasons of discomfort suddenly make sense when the outcome is visible. Results carry the weight of every unseen decision, every unnoticed effort, and every private battle fought along the way. People may not see the work behind the scenes, but when the fruit appears, it testifies to everything that was sound in secret. Results prove everything because they separate intention from execution. Many people dream, plan, and talk about what they will do, but only those who take consistent action produce results. Good intentions may earn sympathy, but they do not build legacies. Results draw the line between those who only imagine possibilities and those who make those possibilities real. The world does not remember intentions, it remembers outcomes. Results reveal truth in ways that nothing else can. You can claim to be disciplined, but your results will tell the truth. You can claim to value growth, but your results will expose whether you actually invested in it. Results are the mirror that reflect your actions without distortion. They never lie. They do not care about excuses, circumstances, or explanations. They simply show what has been done with the time, resources, and opportunities given. Results also prove consistency. One moment of effort can produce temporary progress, but sustained results are the evidence of habits and discipline built over time. You cannot stumble into lasting success. It must be cultivated. Results show the difference between a person who dabbles and a person who is committed. Consistency cannot be faked because results will always reveal whether the work was continuous or casual. Results silence critics. People can question your methods, doubt your abilities, and criticize your journey, but when results appear, arguments lose their power. Success creates its own authority, and outcomes carry a weight that opinions cannot outweigh. Results speak a language that even skeptics must acknowledge because they cannot deny what stands in front of them. Results prove everything because they inspire trust. People follow those who have evidence of what they teach or promote. Talk is cheap, but results create credibility. Whether in business, leadership, or personal growth. Results demonstrate reliability and competence. They make others believe not just in your words, but in your ability to deliver on those words. Results highlight the difference between preparation and procrastination. Many hide behind the illusion of getting ready, always waiting for the perfect moment, but results expose whether action was truly taken. A person who produces results shows that they moved beyond hesitation and acted in faith. Results prove that boldness was stronger than fear and that progress was more important than perfection. Results also measure growth. They reveal how far you have come and how much you have developed. Even small results are evidence that change is taking place. They may not always reflect the final vision, but they mark milestones along the way. Results become a map of progress, showing not just where you are now, but how much you have overcome to get there. Results prove everything because they leave a legacy. Long after words are forgotten, results remain as a testimony to what was achieved. They outlast excuses, they outlast opinions, and they outlast time itself. Results become the evidence that someone dared to act, dared to persist, and dared to create something that could not be ignored. Mindset shift is key because every action you take and every result you achieve is first birthed in the mind. The way you think determines the way you see the world, and the way you see the world determines the choices you make within it. If your thinking is small, your actions will be small and your results will reflect that. But when your mindset expands, your possibilities expand with it. Shifting your mindset is not just about thinking positively. It is about restructuring your beliefs so that they align with growth, discipline, and possibility. A shift in mindset changes the meaning of obstacles. What once looked like a wall becomes a stepping stone when viewed through a renewed perspective. People who remain stuck often see challenges as reasons to quit, but those who experience a mindset shift see challenges as opportunities to grow stronger. The problem itself may not change, but the way it is approached does. With the right mindset, adversity is not a dead end, but a doorway to development. Mindset shift is key because it unlocks resilience. Life will test you with setbacks, disappointments, and failures, but your ability to rise again is not based on circumstances. It is based on how you think about those circumstances. A fixed mindset says, "This happened to me and now I cannot move forward." A growth mindset says, "This happened for me and it is preparing me for what comes next." That single shift in perspective creates the endurance needed to keep pressing forward when others give up. When your mindset changes, your language changes. The words you speak reflect the thoughts you believe. People with limited mindsets often speak doubt, fear, and limitation into their lives, reinforcing the very barriers they wish to escape. A shifted mindset produces words of faith, determination, and confidence, which in turn reinforce new actions and outcomes. The shift begins internally, but its evidence is always external in the way you speak about your life and future. Mindset shift is key because it alters your relationship with failure. Without the right mindset, failure feels final, a sign that you are not capable. With the right mindset, failure becomes feedback, a teacher guiding you toward the next attempt. Those who transform their thinking learn to extract lessons from every loss, using them as fuel for the next effort. This ability to reinterpret failure is what separates those who stagnate from those who succeed. Shifting your mindset also changes the standards you hold for yourself. When you think differently, you stop tolerating mediocrity and start demanding excellence. The old mindset accepts excuses, while the new mindset requires results. The old mindset is satisfied with survival, while the new mindset is determined to thrive. Your standards rise the moment your mindset does, and everything in your life begins to adjust upward to meet those standards. A mindset shift reshapes your vision. With a limited mindset, the future looks blurry and constrained. But when your thinking expands, you begin to see possibilities that were invisible before. Ideas, strategies, and opportunities that once seemed unrealistic now feel attainable. Vision is not just about what you look at, it is about what you look for. The right mindset trains your eyes to notice openings that align with your growth. Mindset shift is key because it influences your habits. Every repeated action you take flows out of a belief you hold. If you believe success is out of reach, your daily habits will reflect apathy and neglect. If you believe success is possible, your habits will reflect discipline and persistence. The mind is the engine that drives behavior, and by shifting the engine, you redirect the entire vehicle of your life. When your mindset shifts, your environment begins to shift with it. The people you associate with, the choices you prioritize, and the risks you are willing to take all change when your thinking evolves. You begin to outgrow negative environments because your new mindset no longer fits there. A transformed mind naturally seeks alignment with higher environments, drawing you into circles and opportunities that match your new level of thought. Mindset shift is key because it determines how high you can rise. Skills, resources, and opportunities matter, but without the right mindset to use them effectively, they remain wasted. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary things and those who settle for less is rarely found in what they have. It is found in how they think. The moment your mindset shifts, the trajectory of your life shifts with it, setting you on a path to create results that once seemed impossible. Action destroys excuses because movement leaves no room for justification. The moment you take a step, the excuse that told you it couldn't be done begins to lose its grip. Excuses feed on inactivity. They grow stronger in silence and hesitation. But when you move, when you act, you prove to yourself that progress is possible. Each small action silences the voice that tries to convince you that you are not ready, not capable, or not enough. Excuses are built in the imagination, but action lives in reality. You can imagine all the reasons why something won't work, but once you take action, you confront facts instead of fears. The story of "I can't" begins to unravel the moment you see even the smallest results of your effort. Action exposes excuses for what they are, mental barriers, not actual ones. Action destroys excuses by creating momentum. One small step leads to another, and suddenly the weight of inactivity is replaced with the power of progress. Excuses cannot keep up with movement because every action creates evidence that progress is being made. Once you begin moving forward, it becomes harder to justify stopping and easier to justify continuing. Momentum becomes the proof that excuses are irrelevant. When you act, you change your relationship with fear. Excuses often disguise themselves as caution, convincing you that waiting is the safer choice. But once you take action, you realize fear was an illusion built only to keep you from moving. Fear weakens in the face of movement, and excuses that were once convincing begin to look foolish. Action transforms fear from a master into a servant because it forces fear to move with you instead of stopping you. Excuses collapse under the weight of results. A person can say they cannot learn, cannot change, or cannot grow. But when they take action and see improvement, the excuse loses all credibility. Every new skill learned, every new goal reached, every new result achieved makes it impossible to cling to the excuses that once felt permanent. Action builds a track record that excuses cannot compete with. Action destroys excuses by demanding responsibility. Once you move, you can no longer claim ignorance or helplessness. You are forced to face reality and make choices about what comes next. Responsibility replaces justification, and progress replaces blame. Excuses thrive where responsibility is absent, but action always forces you to take ownership of the outcome. When you act, you shift your focus from problems to solutions. Excuses highlight everything that could go wrong, while action reveals what can go right. By moving, you discover opportunities you never would have seen while standing still. Solutions rarely appear to the one who waits. They reveal themselves to the one who moves. Action pulls your attention away from obstacles and directs it toward possibilities. Excuses fade when discipline is applied through action. Many people wait for motivation before they move, but excuses always sound louder in waiting. Discipline chooses to act regardless of how it feels, and that consistent action builds strength over time. Once discipline takes root, excuses lose their power because you have trained yourself to move forward without negotiation. Action creates evidence of your capability. Excuses often tell you that you are not ready, but every step you take proves otherwise. With each action, you collect proof that you are able, that you can endure, and that you can improve. This evidence becomes a weapon against doubt. The more you act, the stronger your belief grows and the weaker excuses become. Action destroys excuses because it forces progress, even if imperfect. Waiting for the perfect plan or the perfect timing only strengthens the excuses that hold you back. Action may not be flawless, but even imperfect steps move you closer to your goal. Each action taken is one more brick laid on the foundation of success, while excuses remain powerless in the face of movement. Your life is your proof because everything you are and everything you have is a reflection of the choices you have made. The results you see, the relationships you maintain, the progress you have achieved, all of it speaks louder than your words. You do not have to announce who you are. Your life reveals it for you. Proof is not in declarations, but in demonstration, and your life demonstrates the truth of your discipline, your priorities, and your persistence. Your life is your proof because it holds the evidence of your beliefs. Whatever you believe about yourself eventually shows up in the way you live. If you believe you are limited, your life will display limitation. If you believe you are capable, your life will display achievement. Beliefs are invisible, but their proof is always visible in the habits, outcomes, and patterns that shape your reality. Your life is your proof because it cannot be hidden. You may speak of ambition, vision, and dreams, but the life you live will reveal whether those words were backed by action. People cannot see your thoughts, but they can see your results. They cannot measure your intentions, but they can measure your consistency. Your life becomes the testimony that either confirms or contradicts the story you tell. Your life is your proof because results outlast explanations. You can spend years giving reasons for why you are not where you want to be, but your life will always show the truth. The condition of your health, the state of your finances, the depth of your relationships, all of these areas stand as evidence of the decisions you made and the discipline you applied. Excuses may sound convincing, but they cannot erase what your life reveals. Your life is your proof because it shows the power of persistence. Every success, no matter how small, testifies that you chose to move forward instead of quitting. The scars you carry, the lessons you learned, and the victories you achieved are all evidence of your resilience. Proof is not found in perfection, but in progress, and your life displays the miles you have traveled on the journey toward your goals. Your life is your proof because it reflects your standards. You can claim to value excellence, but your habits will reveal whether you actually do. You can claim to pursue growth, but your lifestyle will display if growth was truly a priority. Standards cannot be faked for long because over time your life adjusts to match the level you consistently demand of yourself. Your life is your proof because it influences others. People do not follow what you say as much as they follow